solved Martinez somewhat.
Well, to put it simply, Mark McGwire said that Pedro Martinez last year was the best pitcher in either league. Mark McGwire, a dominating hitter in the National League, talking about Pedro Martinez, and he has great stuff.
He won his first 5 this year. Let's take a look at the Mets batting order that Martinez will face tonight. Brian McRae back in the leadoff spot. He's in center field. Bernard Gilkey batting second and left with Mike Piazza, who certainly drew a lot of attention related to Hideo Nomo's trade to New York, behind the plate with Olerud at first, still leading the league. Baerga at second, Alfonso at third, and yes, there's a DH when you play in American League ballparks. Matt Franco with Butch Husky in right. Luis Lopez at shortstop. Ray Ordonez getting the night off. But Martinez, I guess once he picked up that circle change, or I guess some look at it now as a straight change, that made all the difference for him, didn't it?
Well, he has a great changeup, and he's dominated hitters in the National League and now in the American League because of that changeup. And he can get the fastball up there. He can overpower hitters. Martinez relies on the fastball and the straight change. This year he had a viral infection which set him back. He lost a lot of weight, and he could ill afford to lose weight.
Last time out for Pedro Martinez was last Sunday at Yankee Stadium. Red Sox scored 11 runs in the 3rd inning, wound up winning the game 13-7. And so here's McRae. Did not start the last game in Pittsburgh. He had a slight hamstring problem, and takes the first pitch for Martinez inside for a ball. McRae at 239, 4 homers, 24 RBIs. Somewhat better hitter from the left side than the right. And that's fouled straight back.
You heard a lot about this ballpark as far as the Green Monster. Everybody thinks that's the attractiveness of hitting in this ballpark. Just as attractive as the background, you get a good look at the pitch because of the big green background.
If you have never been to Fenway Park and you have a chance to get up here and watch a ball game or two, one thing you'll notice immediately when you see that green monster, and this is basically a one-level ballpark anyway, so you have pretty close proximity no matter where you sit, but you get the feeling you could fungo a wiffle ball off that left field wall. It's so close, or seems to be.
Go easy with that. It's not that close.
I said you get the feeling you could do it. That's the, I mean, listen, that thing screwed up a lot of hitters over the years, present company excluded.
Easy. Great place to hit. Even Howie Rose could hit that wall.
On the outside corner, McRae is gone. So Martinez spots the fastball, 1 man away.
Well, the biggest thing for a hitter playing in Fenway Park is don't change anything. Swing the bat the way you would swing it any place else. Same with a pitcher. Pitch the same way, and right there Martinez puts it right on the corner above the belt and gets McRae looking.
So 1 man away. Bernard Gilkey coming up. Outside for a ball.
Defense is important in Boston, even with the Green Monster. Garciaparra and Valentin, 17 errors on the left side of that infield.
And the fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike to Gilkey, who has struggled against Martinez.
By the way, left side of that infield is good despite the 17 errors. Garciaparra, one of the better defensive shortstops in all of baseball.
And the breaking ball. 1 and 2 to Bernard.
That was a nice shot. There's Garciaparra out of Louisiana Tech. I should say Georgia Tech. He roomed with Jay Payton, who was in AAA with the Mets.
Gilkey smashes it the other way. This one headed towards the wall, but it's cut off in right field by Lewis. Gilkey trying for second, and he's in there with a double. So Gilkey shoots one up the alley, and the Mets have a 1-out runner in scoring position.
He fooled him with the breaking ball, and he said, you know what, I think I can sneak the fastball by him. He couldn't do it. Nice swing. Gilkey, those eyes bulging as he swings the bat and hits the ball in a gap and hustles around the bases into second base with a double. Ball cut off by Darren Lewis. So the Mets have a runner on second base in scoring position for Mike Piazza.
And Piazza has handled Martinez pretty well. 7 for 17 with 3 home runs, but the fastball rides high.
One of the most outspoken pitchers concerning Mike Piazza when he was traded away from the Dodgers. As far as Dodger pitchers were concerned, Ramon Martinez. There's Hideo Nomo.
What you can't see under that jacket is his uniform number. Charlie Samuels gave him Doc's old 16. Piazza fouls it off.
And Charlie was very close to Doc Gooden.
Charlie's a little nervous. He was telling me before the game, I don't know about this. I mean, let's face it, Hideo Nomo is certainly a high-profile player in the league and deserves to wear the number of his choice. But he's afraid about how Dwight's going to react to it. He says, I know my phone's going to ring tonight or tomorrow morning. Nomo could care less as long as he's got his number.
Mike Piazza led all hitters in interleague play. We showed you that graphic a moment ago. He's comfortable against National Leaguers and American Leaguers.
It'll be a 1-1 to Piazza, and it rides inside.
Piazza, when I was talking to him the other day, he was talking about Ramon Martinez criticizing him when he left the Dodgers. He was not happy with it. And here he is facing his brother at Fenway Park.
John Olerud waiting on deck. Never had a hit against Martinez. Piazza fouls it back, 2-2. Of course, Brett Butler also criticized Piazza after the fact.
Yeah,
after Butler retired.
The best thing, if you have something to say to somebody, say it to their face. Why wait?
Gilkey double. He leads from second with 1 out. Red Sox a step the other way in the outfield against Piazza, and Piazza is caught. Now the question is exactly where, and is he all right? Martinez will cut that fastball, ride it inside, more so to left-hand hitters than right-hand hitters. Bobby Valentine, along with Fred Hina, want to check out Piazza, and you wonder, you know, you talked about Ramon Martinez and Piazza's feelings towards him as well, and factor these things in.
And Pedro Martinez, when he first came up to the major leagues, hit a lot of batters. They talked him out of it. They worked with him to stop hitting batters. He has real good control. Right there, he hits Mike Piazza.
Now remember, Martinez, when he came up, had the reputation of a headhunter.
Yeah, but they worked with him in the bullpen to get him out of it. Now Al Leiter, looking out and watching the top RBI man, one of the top RBI men in baseball, and a very important part of the Mets ball club, being nursed by Fred Hina down the first baseline. And I'm sure Al Leiter might have to think about throwing inside on a Red Sox player.
Leiter throws into the right-handers anyway, so that's not going to change his repertoire.
Well, Piazza diving into the ball, and the ball really running in on Piazza.
What does it sound like? Pain.
The first baseman, John Olerud.
Piazza's in obvious pain here. Certainly wants to stay in the game. These things have a habit of swelling up sometimes sooner than later. Obviously, it's his left hand. It doesn't affect his throwing, but when it affects your ability to handle a bat and you hit the way Piazza does, certainly that's a major problem, potentially. So here's Olerud with 2 on. Takes ball 1. Our umpire lineups brought to you by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, the most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. American League umpires, Al Clark behind the plate, Terry Cramp, Jim McKean, and Jim Joyce on the baselines. Olerud tried to check his swing and did, according to Jim Joyce. 2-0 to Olerud, who uncharacteristically struck out 3 times the other night.
And Olerud has struggled against Martinez.
0 for 9, 5 strikeouts against him. He takes the off-speed pitch. So 3-0 now on Olerud with runners at first and second. Carlos Baerga, the on-deck batter.
Maybe it shook Martinez up, hitting Piazza.
Jimmy Williams, manager of the Boston Red Sox. And Baerga. And the 3-0 over at the knees. Bobby Valentine likes to send his runners. A lot of managers over the last 10 or 15 years have really gotten more into running on 3-1, putting the hit and run on 3-1. They're not going here, and Olerud fouls it back.
Seems that the Red Sox and teams that come in here and play the Red Sox, you take their running game away from them. This is a ballpark where managers seem to want the hitter to hit the ball and utilize that bat. You don't see very many bunts. You don't see many guys trying to steal bases.
Red Sox don't really have a running game. Fewest stolen bases in the American League. Jimmy Williams has him off to a great start. Now the runners go, and Olerud fouls it back. You agree with that point, though, about the 3-1 count where managers, I think, really over the last 10 years or so, more than ever before, seem to be more aggressive on that count. Used to be you get to 2-1 and say, all right, that's as close to the automatic hit and run count as possible. Yeah. Now they're doing it 3-1.
Well, I agree with that. I think that the 3-0 pitch is a time where you should become more aggressive. Most managers are passive on the 3-0 pitch.
So they were running 3-2 before. You figure they will again. And they are. And Olerud lines it to center. Around third is Gilkey. He scores. And Olerud has an RBI single. The Mets are leading by a score of 1-0. So John Olerud picks up his 30th RBI of the year on a 3-2 pitch for Martinez.
So John Olerud going down, head down on the ball, and he does what he does best. Hits the ball where it's pitched, right back up the middle into center field, and once again driving in a key run for the Mets.
So his first hit ever against Martinez delivers a run, and now it's Carlos Baerga, and he has owned Martinez. 7 out of 10 against one of the elite right-handers in baseball. But the change on the outside corner.
Funny how when you watch Baerga now, when he's swinging a good bat, very aggressive, even when he gets in the batter's box. When you're struggling with the bat, you're passive, as Mike Piazza leads off second and Olerud off first.
Piazza leads from second, Olerud from first. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike on Baerga. Mets and Red Sox have played 10 meaningful games in their history. 7, of course, in the fall of 1986. 3 last year, all of which were at Shea Stadium. Mets lost 2 out of 3 here in the '86 World Series, winning games 3 and 4, losing game 5. And the 0-2 pitch inside. I think I might have said 1-1 before. It was 0-2, and now the fastball backs Baerga off the plate.
One thing Martinez learned early in his career, as you look at Edgardo Alfonso, is to pitch inside.
He had a nasty reputation first couple of years.
There were a lot of teams gunning for him because of it.
And he overpowers Carlos Baerga. So 2 strikeouts in the inning now for Pedro Martinez. 2 men away, and Alfonso coming up.
A lot of times you get too keyed up in a situation like a Red Sox-Met game, and Baerga was so keyed up he chases his ball right out of the strike zone. Can't hit that pitch, not from Martinez. He throws too hard. You know, sometimes you're so geared up when the game starts and you're getting in the batter's box, you're so aggressive, sometimes too aggressive.
So Alfonso, with Piazza on second, Olerud at first, takes a slider for a strike. Alfonso, since coming off the disabled list, starting to round back into his typical hitting form, hitting the ball with authority the other way. Outfield shades him a step towards right. And now it's 0-2. Alfonso hit leadoff most of April. Very rarely during the month of May, at least before he got hurt, and then batted leadoff on Wednesday in Pittsburgh when Brian McRae took a rest. Tonight, Ray Ordonez has the day off. And this will be an 0-2 pitch. Valentin goes the short way, and the side retired. But the Mets break on top. RBI single by John Olerud off of Pedro Martinez. Mets 1. Leiter goes to work.
Mike Piazza in the back of the left hand, and he's been removed from this ball game. In the dugout, This is while we were away at commercial, and Mike Piazza removed from the ball game. Had to go in and get some ice on that hand. Probably have it x-rayed also. So a new catcher for the Mets. The home run hitter in San Francisco, Alberto Castillo.
You could tell too with Piazza as he went down to first base, and even while he was on base, he was wincing and shaking that hand. And when a guy who throws as hard as Martinez comes inside and gets you on the hand, you have to worry whether or not anything's broken. So I think it's safe to say he will undergo x-rays, and if we get any word on that, we'll pass it along. Meantime, the Red Sox will go after Al Leiter. Darren Lewis, leadoff batter, playing right field. And Leiter, who has really struggled here at Fenway, throws a fastball up and away.
There are some teams that will try to schedule left-handers when they're not coming into Fenway Park or after they leave Fenway Park. He's got good stuff. He should be able to win in his ballpark.
Slider inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Leiter had a great demeanor about himself handling the questions in Wednesday in Pittsburgh, 2 days before the game here. He throws a fastball for a strike to Lewis. Everybody wanted to get advance quotes from Leiter on coming to Fenway Park, and of course Leiter knew that a lot of those questions would be about his struggles here, and he smiled and joked and cajoled and kidded all the way through it. Chopped foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Leiter is one of those baseball players, Fran, who grew up a fan. And so he has a certain appreciation for pitching in the historic parks like Fenway Park, like Wrigley Field, that players who grew up without a whole lot of an historical perspective on the game might not have.
Knows he's been a big fan, and of course everybody knows he grew up a Met fan. He should win in this ballpark. One thing the right-handers seem to do is lay off that breaking ball that breaks down and in this ballpark. Other places they're chasing it.
Ball 4, and Darren Lewis is aboard.
It looked like Al Leiter threw a straight change there.
So the Red Sox get Lewis on leading off. Now it'll be John Valentin, the third baseman, followed by shortstop Nomar Garcia-Parra. Bo Vaughn on the cleanup spot at first with Jim Leyritz, the DH. Damon Buford, a former Met, in center field. Mike Benjamin at second. Jason Varitek, the catcher, and Darren Bragg in left field. So here's Valentin. Fastball taken for a strike.
Out of Seton Hall, outstanding collegiate player, along with Mo Vaughn, Craig Biggio at Seton Hall.
And he was ejected from Wednesday's game here against the Baltimore Orioles, arguing with Tim Welke. And Valentin pops it into short center. In comes McRae. Out is Baerga, and it's Baerga to make the catch.
Baerga ran a long way for that ball. That was a nice play by Carlos. They said he's an offensive second baseman. His defense has improved. You're watching him with his back to home plate going way out there, making the grab.
The shortstop.
Looked like it might have been the center fielder's ball. And McRae had a beat on it, but Baerga called him off.
Well, the wind's been blowing in most of the afternoon, and it's a little breezier than it is on a normal June night here in Boston. So the outfielders might be in for some adventures. It might take a little more than usual to poke one into that screen. Nomar Garcia-Parra, who can do it, backed off the plate by Leiter.
Yeah, when he was out for a few days, the Red Sox struggled. When he's in the lineup, they're a good team.
Garcia-Parra was on the disabled list with a sprained shoulder. Fouled straight back, 1-1.
And behind Al Leiter defensively, the Mets set up with Luis Lopez in his 4th start at shortstop. Ray Ordonez, who didn't look very pleased, is not in the lineup for the first game of this 3-game series.
Garcia-Parra fouls it off his leg. It's 1-2. Well, you go back to last year, and Ray Ordonez was not happy about having been not benched or scratched, but simply not started for a couple of games. And Bobby Valentine had to lay the law down and say nobody's playing 162 here.
That was right after the All-Star break last year when the Mets were in Atlanta, and Bobby Valentine was very upset. But I can understand Ordonez wanting to play. Garcia-Parra's in the lineup. It's a pride type of thing. He wants to show how good he is defensively to the Red Sox fans.
Fastball away. It's 2-2 to Garcia Parra. Move on, waiting on deck. And the 2-2. Lopez to Baerga, and Olerud a double play. So Vaughn will have to wait. No runs, no hits, a walk, nobody left, one in the books.
Matt Franco.
Second inning in Boston, Mets leading 1-0, and Matt Franco, the designated hitter, followed by Butch Husky and Luis Lopez in the Mets batting order. Franco had a home run, pretty big one, off of Pedro Martinez last year at Shea Stadium. Looking for his first long ball this year. Matt was inserted into the game in Pittsburgh Wednesday with the Mets down a run. Bobby Valentine hitting for Rick Reed in the 7th inning. Reed had been brilliant. Franco popped up the first pitch from John Lieber. And Martinez backs him off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, Leiter talking to Castillo. We've seen this a number of times this year. He has the arm around him. It's almost like a lesson.
Fastball to Franco, 1-2.
Remember in Chicago at Wrigley Field, they were having problems with their signs.
A lot of problems that day at Wrigley, not the least of which was the weather.
And from a picture like that, it's clear that Al Leiter's in charge of the batteries during the course of the game. That won't happen with Piazza and Hunley.
And again, if you're just joining us, Mike Piazza hit on the hand by a pitch from Pedro Martinez in the first inning, and we have no word. Oh, Jay Harwitz is in the booth.
Just walked in.
And the 1-2 to Franco, punched foul behind the plate. It's a contusion to the left hand.
He's going to be X-rayed.
And he will be X-rayed, as we speculated. Will we have results of that X-ray tonight, or will that have to wait? Well, Jay says he hopes so. So we're all on the same page. Bobby Valentine will be the first to know.
Jay liked to use that word contusion.
He was pre-med. And the 1-2 to Franco, fouled away.
Will you ever forget the home run as you look at Butch Husky on deck that Matt Franco hit off Pedro Martinez last year at Shea Stadium?
It took Martinez a while to forget it. He rearranged that Montreal Expos dugout and locker room after it was done. In fact, he sat in that dugout for a long time after the game. And the 1-2 fouled away. Let's go back to that shining moment of Matt Franco's last season.
In a dramatic home run, Martinez was pitching a masterpiece. Everybody forgot it except Martinez. And I'm sure it's on his mind right now.
Franco tried to hold his swing, and he did, according to Jim Joyce. That evens the count 2-2. That was almost 1 year ago to the day. Today being June 5th. That home run coming on June 3rd of last year. 2-2 to Franco, starting the second. It's 1-0 New York. And the breaking ball fouled off. A lot of the media, especially those who are local Boston media who don't travel, were besieging Mookie Wilson over the last few hours, getting his recollections of 1986. First time the Mets have been here since their World Series showdown that year. Did play an exhibition game here that season. And Franco is down on strikes. Now that World Series was nothing special to the last couple of games. In fact, the first game was a yawner until Tim Tuffle got beat through the 5-hole.
Kidman steps in with 1 down. The pitch, ground ball to second. Tuffle has a go between his legs. Strawberry picks it up. Here comes Rice. Throw coming to the plate to Carter, not in time. Throw to second, not in time. Red Sox lead.
And won the game 1-0 as Husky takes a breaking ball, 1-0.
Jim Rice is in the ballpark as the batting instructor with the Red Sox tonight.
And Mookie and Rice, the only combatants from that series in uniform in any capacity today.
There's Jim. He's hit some long home runs.
See that little spill of the cup towards the camera? It's one of the reasons why he hasn't gotten better consideration for the Hall of Fame. When I was a radio reporter in New York, he would do interviews with his back to you.
I guess
Difficult to pick up with a microphone.
I guess you could say he was shy.
Well, Surly would be a little more like it. I mean, his credentials, pretty significant as far as the Hall of Fame's concerned. And Butch Husky takes ball 4, so on 4 pitches, Husky's aboard. First walk issued by Pedro Martinez. And that'll bring up Luis Lopez.
When Martinez won the Cy Young Award last year in Montreal, one thing he had was pinpoint control. Talk started in September. Dan Duquette, the general manager of the Red Sox, told me before the ball game tonight that he started to talk about Pedro Martinez in September last year with the Montreal Brass. Hard to believe a Cy Young Award winner would be traded away the year he wins the award.
Well, in Montreal, if you make a little bit of money, you're vulnerable. Lopez grounds to second. They get 1. And a nice pick by Vaughn to complete the double play. So Benjamin starts it. Vaughn finishes it. And the Mets are done in the second. No runs, no hits. The double play leaves no one on base. Still 1-0 New York.
From the rivers to the park, New York is a city of bridges. And every day, American Airlines is building new ones. From the New York area to over 250 cities worldwide. A bridge is more than stone and steel, and an airline is more than a fleet of planes, yet both can take you where you want to go. American Airlines, New York's bridge to the world.
Sorry, the New York Lotto jackpot is now $15 million. That's $15 million. Cool. Mother!
Connecting with the wrong internet provider can leave even the most experienced net user frustrated and abandoned. Now there's a better way. BellAtlantic.net, with access to Big Yellow, your Yellow pages on the web, and a helpful staff to guide you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Bell Atlantic can open doors to the internet you never knew existed. Wild things are happening. Bell Atlantic. We'll see you there.
Fox Sports News prime time. 25 years ago, the great Secretariat. And now, this year's real quiet contender. Tonight, run for the Triple Crown. Only on Fox Sports News prime time.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by Tri-State Ford dealers. Expect more, get more. Let your Tri-State quality Ford dealers show you why there's more to afford. Last of the second as Pedro Martinez talks things over in the Red Sox dugout. Martinez along with his catcher Jason Varitek. And here's Mo Vaughn. Cleanup hitter, first baseman, and a great changeup by Leiter.
Well, Vaughn having another solid season offensively. He's a decent first baseman. Probably will not be with the Red Sox after this year.
He is a free agent at the end of the season. And the fastball off the outside corner. What do you think? Is Mo Vaughn bound for the Hall of Fame? Well, some feel that Jim Rice belongs there. And this comparison is almost mind-boggling. Down to the point, almost to the home run, almost to the RBI. Inside 2-1. I mean, that's almost impossible to play that many games and have virtually identical statistics. Vaughn might have a better shot at the Hall than Rice, and this may be debated forever in terms of whether it's right or wrong, but Vaughn's a better guy, and the media warm up to Vaughn in a way that they did not to Rice.
I agree with you, and it is wrong. If Rice belongs in the Hall of Fame because of his stats, so be it. Put him in.
3 balls, 1 strike to Vaughn. And he hits that one hard. McRae over, and he has to play it on a hop. Vaughn will hold on at first with a long single. First hit for the Red Sox off of Leiter.
Vaughn looked comfortable standing in there against Al Leiter. Usually teams change their lineup because a guy like Leiter's pitching, but Vaughn hits that ball hard. McRae cuts it off. Good swing. Where will Mo Vaughn end up next year? He's on first base right now.
Let's hope he stays there the rest of the inning. Meantime, it's Jim Leyritz. He's the designated hitter. Been in a platoon situation for the most part this year with Reggie Jefferson as the Red Sox DH. The former Yankee swings and misses. Leyritz, of course, can also catch, play first base, but tonight Varitek's behind the plate. Scott Hatterberg has done quite a bit of catching. Phone call from Mr. Healy. He broke his bat. Now can the Mets turn two? They've got one and their second consecutive double play. So the broken bat ground ball by Leyritz becomes 2 outs. Garcia Parra grounded into a 6-4-3 to end the first. And now Leiter saws the bat off of Jim Leyritz.
Six, number 2, the center fielder, Damon Buford.
Jim Leyritz getting jammed. And how many bats has Al Leiter broken this year? Leyritz running down to first base with the handle. And the pitcher's delight, the 6-4-3 double play.
Well, that's Leiter in a nutshell now. We talk about his propensity for pitching inside to right-handers, and he can break a lot of bats, and this time was able to help turn a double play, or at least induce the ground ball that started one. Leyritz looks over the remnants.
It looked like this is my gamer, and I'm going to use it despite it being broken. He looks depressed. Looking at his gamer.
Move on, Jim. 1-1 to Damon Buford. And again, the slider. 2 balls, 1 strike. Buford just came off the DL. He had a sprain in his knee, right knee.
What Leiter did to Leyritz, you expect about Leiter, even at Fenway Park, where he has struggled.
And that ball's hit well to left, but Gilkey has plenty of room. Remember, the wind's been blowing in, and Gilkey makes the catch to the side retired. No runs a hit. Double play erases Vaughn. Still 1-0 New York.
Dilbert for Office Depot.
I've decided to abandon logic and manage by cliches. It won't be easy, but I'll take it one bird at a time. And remember, the customer is always right-handed.
This is actually an improvement.
Here's a real improvement. Office Depot's best catalog ever. Easier to use, easier to read, more products. Call today for your copy and start getting fast, free delivery, guaranteed low prices. Business is crazy, but Office Depot makes sense.
Jim Rome on Karl Malone.
Don't joke with me. Lock me up this summer or I am gonzo.
Rome on Base Brawl.
It was a gutless, reckless act, and it's all on Benitez.
Rome on Foreman Homes.
Yeah, I need a 50-year-old fraud going up against a 49-year-old former champ like I need a hole in my dome.
Rome on bowling.
Anything that you get better at as you consume alcohol is not a sport.
The Last Word, weeknights on Fox Sports New York.
Monday, interleague play returns to Fox Sports New York. Mike Piazza and the Mets are back to charge up the Big Apple when Tampa Bay makes its first visit to Shea. The Mets sting the Devil Rays, and Fox Sports New York has it Monday at 7:30.
Third inning here in Boston. It's only natural to look back to that 1986 World Series. The Mets wanted to forget that second game as quickly as possible. Dwight Gooden was shellacked. Henderson and Evans took him deep. That's Wade Boggs, younger and trimmer. Marty Barrett going the other way as the Red Sox blew the Mets out, frustrating Gary Carter and Davey Johnson. In fact, Davey Johnson, the Mets manager at the time, probably instigated the turning point to the series. He canceled the workout between games 2 and 3, which wasn't all that popularly received by members of the media, but he felt, hey, listen, just shut it down for a day. And then they came back for game 3. Lenny Dykstra started it off with a home run off of Oil Can Boyd. And the Mets eventually, as you know, came back to win the series. Right here, it's the third inning. Brian McRae struck out looking his first time up. No balls and 1 strike. Mets would win Game 6. Legendary Saturday night Game 6. Bill Buckner had an even bigger 5-hole than Tuffle did in Game 1. That's pulled foul. And then there was a rainout the next night, so Bruce Hurst, who had beaten the Mets twice in that series, got a chance to pitch Game 7. Had a 3-0 lead. Mets tied it. Eventually won it to win their 2nd World Championship. And the 0-2 pitch to McRae, and the slider misses inside. Martinez has a good tight slider, an outstanding changeup. Bernard Gilkey doubled the other way his first time up, so he's waiting for another shot at Pedro. And Brian McRae struck out for the 2nd time. 4 strikeouts now for Martinez, 1 gone in the 3rd. Well, that boxing card featuring Evander Holyfield against Henry Akinwande has been postponed. Fight scheduled for tomorrow night. Tickets will be refunded because Akinwande failed to pass his required physical. So for information on those refunds, jot that number down, 212-307-7171. Give it to you one more time. It's 212-307-7171.
See if Martinez comes back with that fastball. That's the pitch Gilkey hit first time up. Nope, he goes with the breaking ball. So that's 2 breaking balls after Gilkey picked up a base hit on the fastball.
And Gilkey pops it up into short left. Darren Bragg coming in. Oh, that wind, huh? And Bragg took a straight path to the ball and then had to move almost at a 90-degree angle. 2nd out here in the 3rd.
Well, the scouting report on Martinez. He can throw that cheese. Great slider and the best changeup in baseball. That's a formula for success.
Number 30, the catcher.
Well, now it's Alberto Castillo. Again, if you're just joining us, Mike Piazza hit by a pitch from Martinez in the 1st inning. We're calling it a contusion for now. He's undergoing x-rays, and we hope to have a further report before this game is over. And 0-1 to Castillo.
Well, Martinez in the 1st inning with the runner on base ran the fastball in on Mike Piazza. And Piazza needs x-rays. There's a shot of him leaving the dugout, heading to the clubhouse.
Castillo wants time. Now listen, you've no doubt been in situations like that. As hard as Martinez throws, will you be surprised if there's not a broken bone?
Well, you know, I mean,
based on where it hit him.
Yeah.
Top of the hand. And the slider misses to Castillo. 1-1.
Well, you're vulnerable because you don't have any muscle to take the brunt of the blow from the ball.
Plus you got those thin bones too on top of the hand, which make them even more vulnerable.
I don't know if Piazza's thin any place. He might have muscle on top of those bones.
He's going to need a lot of it to protect where he was hurt. And again, hopefully have more information for you later. 1-2 to Castillo, breaking ball.
I wonder if it ran through Piazza's mind what he told me about Ramon Martinez, his severe criticism of Piazza after he left the Dodgers.
Well, they will always speculate about Martinez's intentions, and that goes back to his first couple of years. Castillo hits it deep to left field, and that ball is gone on the screen. Two to nothing, New York. Piazza probably wouldn't have hit it much farther than that anyway. With a wind blowing in.
Castillo said, I told you I could do it. I did it in San Francisco. And he picks up a long home run over the Green Monster.
Number 5, the first baseman.
Ramon Martinez gets 2 quick strikes with breaking balls, and he throws a heater, challenges Castillo, and he loses it.
Second home run of the year for Castillo. 2-0 Mets, and here's Olerud, and he takes a fastball.
Here's that home run swing. Alberto Castillo with the fastball, gets the head of the bat on the ball. He says, yeah, I know it's gone. He ran around the bases a little bit quicker this time.
Because he knows Martinez will drill him next time.
And Olerud hits it deep to right field. Lewis to the warning track. That's a gunner.
Back-to-back home runs. Castillo and now Olerud. 3-0 Mets.
And up until this game, Olerud has struggled against Martinez in the past. He now has a single and a home run. Martinez not throwing the ball by the hitters. We talked about the viral infection he had earlier in the year. He lost a lot of weight, and he didn't have good mustard in that fastball, and Olerud turned on it. So 3-0 the Mets.
Well, you know, Martinez is an emotional pitcher, and you wonder, had he lost his concentration because of Castillo here?
I don't think so. Right there, that's a good pitch for Olerud to hit. Well, a home run will force a pitcher to lose his cut. Whoa!
Baerga almost gave Martinez a haircut. So 3 straight hits, 2 of them homers, all coming after 2 were out.
The concentration's important, but Howie, Martinez does not have the zip that we've seen him with that fastball. And when you don't have the good zip in a fastball, your changeup becomes ineffective. John Valentin, the third baseman, talking to Martinez. Jimmy Williams looking on. All Valentin wants to do right now is to get Martinez to refocus.
Joe Kerrigan, one of the outstanding pitching coaches in baseball, pitching coach here with the Boston Red Sox.
He had Martinez up in Montreal. The last trade, as you look at John Olerud, who just hit a home run, the last trade Dan Duquette of the Red Sox made as a general manager in Montreal was for Martinez.
So now it's Alfonso, takes a fastball for a strike. Fonzie bounced into a fielder's choice to end the first inning. 3-0 New York now. Olerud's driven in 2 of the 3, single and a home run. And Castillo hits one over the green monster onto the screen. Slider in the dirt. That's now with 5 hits off of Martinez. Baerga not really a threat to runs. The pitch taken upstairs.
You mentioned Martinez's concentration after Castillo's home run. He threw 2 nasty sliders to Alberto Castillo, then threw him a fastball. Castillo hits the home run. Olerud comes up, gets a fastball. He hits a home run.
And it'll be a 2-1 pitch. Little chopper that's cut off by Valentin. And the side retired, but the Mets flex some muscle against Martinez in the 3rd. Castillo and Olerud go deep, back-to-back. 3-0 Mets. Lenny Dykstra led off Game 3 in routine fashion.
And Lenny Dykstra led off the game.
Well hit fly ball down the right field line. Will it stay fair? If it does, it's gone. There it goes. Home run. Home run for Len Dykstra.
Mike Benjamin takes inside for ball 1 as we start the Boston 3rd. Now you might say, wait a minute, why is a leadoff home run by Len Dykstra routine? 2-0 to Benjamin. Well, the Mets have been in 3 World Series, 1969, 1973, 1986. And in each Game 3, the first Mets batter of the ball game hit a home run. Tommy Agee leading off bottom of the 1st, Game 3 in 69. Wayne Garrett, bottom of the 1st, Game 3 in 73 against the A's. And Dykstra against the Red Sox. And the fastball, 3-1. So next time you're in Vegas, I think Mets have a chance to be in the World Series. You want to make one of those oddball bets. Keep history in mind. Bouncer up the middle. And Lopez will have to eat it. So an infield single for at least Mike Benjamin on at first, leading off the 3rd inning. New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by Discover Card. It pays to discover, accepted where you see the Novus sign. Mets with a 3-0 lead here in the last of the third. Jason Varitek, one time one of the outstanding catching prospects in collegiate baseball.
Yeah, if they're patient with this kid, he should be a good player. He's a switch hitter. He's got good talent. He throws the ball. He can catch the ball. Jay Payton told me if he did anything wrong, he probably works out too much. Jay Payton was a teammate of his at Georgia Tech, along with Nomar Garcia-Pera. He's gone down as one of the greatest collegiate catchers in the history of collegiate baseball.
You see Olerud playing in front of the runner Mike Benjamin. The pitch fouled off.
One problem he had when he was drafted out of Georgia Tech, he held out for a long time and missed some playing time.
He was originally drafted by the Twins, didn't sign. Went back into the draft. Seattle Mariners selected him and traded him to the Boston Red Sox eventually. Heathcliff Slocum. In fact, Varitek, one of 3 Georgia Tech products in the Boston lineup. Fran told you about Garcia-Pera. The on-deck batter, Darren Bragg, went to Georgia Tech as well.
Good baseball program. There's Bragg.
And a fastball, 0-2 to Varitek.
And one of the best hitters on that Georgia Tech team, Jay Payton. Unfortunately for Jay, his career's had setbacks because of injuries. Speaking of working hard, the Mets were amazed at how hard Jay Payton worked.
Off-speed pitch away, 1-2 now to Varitek.
But Payton told me Varitek would go in the weight room and he would be in there all the time. He would be taking extra batting practice. He would be working on his catching.
Two balls, 2 strikes now. Mets with a 3-0 lead. Red Sox now have 2 hits off of Leiter. And again, the wind blowing in tonight makes it even more remarkable that Castillo is able to launch one. And that ball launched past Alfonso. Gilkey gets to it quickly, may have a play at third. Not in time, though. Holding at first is Varitek. So the Red Sox have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Looked like the ball hit off that third base bag, taking a tricky hop on Edgardo Alfonso. Leiter going after Varitek, got the ball inside Varitek, pulling the ball and picking up a base hit. Watch that ball hit the base. Took a funny hop on Alfonso. If the ball doesn't hit the base, Alfonso makes the play. Gilkey comes up throwing the ball hard, but Benjamin beats the throw to third base. So a pretty good break for the Mets, that ball hitting off the base. And now the Red Sox with runners on first and third.
So Darren Bragg, the left fielder, bats for the first time. He's the number 9 hitter in the Red Sox order, and the change taken for a strike. Bragg, also a former Seattle Mariner, came over for left-hander Jamie Moyer. Resuscitated his career at the Kingdome. And that's taken downstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that ball fouled away. 1-2 on Bragg. The third time he's played left field this year. As you look at Benjamin at third and Varitek at first. He's played right field most of the time for the Red Sox. Darren Lewis is there tonight. And Bragg's done a good job at least getting a run in these situations. But he goes down on strikes. So Leiter picks up his first strikeout, keeps the runners put at first and third, 1 away.
Our key now is to get a ground ball. This is a nasty pitch right here to Bragg.
Number 20.
Ball bounces in the dirt. Just kept on breaking. Bragg unable to make contact. Now he walked Darren Lewis, who's the next batter, on a straight change, 3-2 changeup his first time up.
Infield set up for 2 on the fastball. Backs Lewis away.
Alberto Castillo going out to talk to Al Leiter. The first pitch to Lewis, way inside.
Well, it's easy now to speculate about purpose pitches after the injury to Mike Piazza hit by Pedro Martinez. But remember, Leiter will routinely come hard inside to right-hand batters.
Plus, if you're going to throw a purpose pitch and get a hit or in retaliation, don't do it with 2 men out.
Not necessarily that he was trying to hit him, just back him off the plate a little bit. Leiter has hit 5 batters this year. 2 balls, no strikes now to Darren Lewis. Bob Apodaca, featured in our pregame show. Thank Deck for allowing us to put the microphone on him earlier this season. As the fastball sails away, it's 3-0. John Valentin on deck.
And Valentin has a lot of power. You want to get Lewis. Valentin's a guy that's hit many balls up in the screen here at Fenway Park.
This will be a 3-0 pitch to Darren Lewis, and it's right there.
Lewis is in a good hitting situation because you got to go get him. You're behind in the count. You got to throw him strikes to hit. And the defense for the Mets playing Lewis even up all the way around, shallow in the outfield.
Outside, ball 4. The bases are loaded. So 2 singles and a walk. And Bobby Valentine will have to deal with John Valentin facing Leiter with the bases loaded. Second walk Leiter has issued, both to Lewis. So Valentin gets a fresh piece of lumber. He popped to second his first time up. Here's Mets co-owner Nelson Doubleday.
Flew in for the game tonight. Watch the Mets take on the Red Sox. The big news up here in Boston. Dale Nomo joining the Mets.
He will pitch on Tuesday against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at Shea Stadium. But now a challenge for Leiter as Valentin steps in. Valentin 5 for 17 in his career against Leiter. Mets have the infield back at short and second. In fact, it's back all around as the fastball is taken up and away. Mets with a 3-run lead will try to turn 2 here with Benjamin Varitek and Lewis aboard. Valentin, good power, outfield respecting that. Deep and straight away. Alfonso comes home. They get the force.
That was a good move by Alfonso. He charged the ball. I thought his first move was going to be tag third and try to get the runner at first, but he wisely cut down the runner at the plate. If you're going to get one, get the lead guy. Alfonso in position to field that ball. Now you see he starts now to throw to the plate, and Castillo gave him a high target. Alfonso catching that ball and going right to the plate, getting the lead runner. Good move. Alfonso, good baseball instincts like Ordonez. You see the runner breaking on contact. So Benjamin cut down at the plate by Edgardo Alfonso. Many third basemen would take that ball and try to go to second and then on to first and give up the run if you don't get the runner at first.
Well, now it's Garcia-Parra, and he gets jammed and fouls it off. Garcia-Parra grounded into a 6-4-3 double play to end the first inning. That's with a 3-0 lead. Leiter trying to get out of a bases loaded situation here.
Yeah, huge situation for Leiter because he's facing, if not the best hitter on the Red Sox, one of the best hitters.
Inside, 1-1.
And Al Leiter, a guy who's very animated on the mound, does not hide anything. Look at his reaction. See Castillo pointing down to Alfonso. Good decision to go home.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Leiter with the bases loaded, working from the stretch. And that's chopped foul. So now Leiter a strike away from getting out of big-time trouble. With Varitek at third, Lewis going back to second, and Valentin to first. And he has eaten up the opposition in these situations. Just off the disabled list after having a shoulder sprain. It'll be a 1-2 pitch. Got him! High high heat from Leiter, and Garcia-Parra is gone.
Might be the biggest out of the game when this ball game's all over.
Well, Leiter muscled up in the third, striking out 2. Garcia-Parra goes down with the bases loaded. Still 3-0 New York. Well, Al Leiter just worked out of some hot water in the last of the third inning. A couple of strikeouts, including Garcia-Parra with the bases loaded and 2 men away. So we go to the fourth inning with Leiter and the Mets leading the Red Sox 3-0.
2 left-handers right there.
Number 15, the designated hitter.
You see Al Leiter talking to Alberto Castillo, talking about catching the ball and the target. He's had some very animated conversations with Castillo over the course of this season.
And again, if you're just tuning in, Castillo catching because Mike Piazza left the game after being hit on the hand in the first inning by Pedro Martinez. So we go to the fourth, 3-0 New York, and here's Fran Healy.
All right, Howie. Matt Franco leads it off. He struck out in the second inning. And he pops up the first pitch from Pedro Martinez down the left field line. Bragg goes over and makes the grab. Not very much room, but Bragg was able to glove it. 1 down. And that'll bring to the plate Butch Husky. Husky walked his first time up back in the second inning.
Number 42, the right fielder.
Batting .243. He has 44 hits and he's driven in 32 runs. And when you're big and strong like Butch Husky and you can hit a home run, you're going to like Fenway Park. Fastball outside to Butch Husky. 1-0. And the 1-0 pitch, changeup. Husky pops it up, foul territory. Vaughn giving chase. And he runs out of room. Maybe unnecessarily ended up on a tarp.
I think he was looking for some groceries. He'll pass on the soda.
What do you mean by groceries?
Well, looks like he's doing some shopping here. Now he knows he's not going to get this, so he'll climb the tarp and take inventory. Got a Coke, 7-Up, some beer, no peanuts. So he's back to work. Actually, that was a Pepsi down there.
And the 1-1 pitch to Husky. Checks his swing. Loops the ball in a center field base hit. So Husky with his first hit of the game.
Mets lead this game partially because of the long ball. Castillo on an 0-2 pitch launches one into the screen. That made it 2-0 in the third. Then Olerud, a flat fastball, and he launched it towards the right field bullpen.
So Olerud with 2 hits in his game, a single and a home run. And now Pedro Martinez will take on Luis Lopez, who hit into a 4-6-3 double play in the second inning. And the ball's thrown away. Husky on his way to second base as Benjamin goes over and picks it up. Husky will hold his ground at second. And a break for the Mets. So Butch Husky now in scoring position for Lopez.
Well, Husky on his way back to the bag, but a poor throw by Martinez, who threw it well to the right side of Mo Vaughn. Not a first baseman or left-handed first baseman, meaning, of course, they wear the glove on the right hand. But here Vaughn had to reach across his body and had no chance to come up with what looked like a slider that Martinez threw on a pickoff play.
So it's 3-0. The Mets on top of the Red Sox. We're in the fourth inning at Fenway Park in Boston. Interleague play. Luis Lopez takes a strike.
That pickoff throw had a lot of movement on it.
He has a good quick move to first base. I bet he might catch Mo Vaughn sleeping a couple times during the course of the season. It's 0-1 on Lopez. Husky leading off second base. Fastball down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. And you talk about this ballpark, and for years, Howie, you'd hear so-and-so's got an ideal swing for Fenway Park. I'm not sure who had a real good swing for Fenway Park. It usually was a right-hander that hit a lot of home runs. Outside to Lopez. 2-1.
I'll tell you what, Bernard Gilkey was out here early this afternoon, and we've shown you so often over the years how his eyes just have a habit of almost popping out of his head just as the pitch is about to get into the hitting zone. They did about the same thing when he came here.
Look at the eyes.
Thanks, Gilt. That's right on target, right on cue. And they did the same thing when he looked out to that monster out there.
And Lopez drives the ball to deep right field. Lewis in pursuit. Home run! Luis Lopez, a 2-run shot, and the Mets lead the Red Sox 5-0.
Well, Martinez has to be thinking, all right, Olaru's one thing. Castillo he couldn't believe. And turning on what looked like, at least from that angle, another flat fastball was Luis Lopez. Remember the ball that he threw Olaru for the home run had no life on it.
And McRae fouls the ball off. Strike one on Brian McRae. Mets lead 5-0. 7 hits in his game off Pedro Martinez.
Ball just hung around the knees. And Lopez drilled it. He wasn't thinking home run until he rounded first base.
And McRae takes the ball, so it's 1-1.
You know, the professional home run hitters, they know when they've got one, and they go into their trot. Lopez he couldn't believe it until he got across the bag at first base. And he didn't exactly take the Cadillac trot around the bases either.
So it's been Lopez, Castillo, and Olaru. 1-2 pitch to McRae, up high. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The thing with Martinez, though, tonight is that at times he has blown his fastball by hitters. He went up to Carlos Baerga, overpowered him in the first inning, striking him out swinging.
Up and in to McRae, 3-2.
Got McRae swinging last time.
And the 3-2 pitch, ground ball to third. Valentin to Vaughn, 2 down.
Well, maybe the Mets are changing everything this year. Remember last year they went into Detroit, played 3 games at Tiger Stadium, gave up 14 home runs and didn't hit one. Well, they wound up closing the gap on the American League, largely because of what they did to Toronto late in the season. And the American League teams ended up winning 1 more than the Mets did during Interleague a year ago. Right here, they have launched 3 home runs off of Pedro Martinez.
And Bernard Gilkey takes outside, ball 1. He's 1 for 2 in his ball game. He doubled in the first inning and came around to score the first run, scoring on a single off the bat of John Olaru. And he hits a drive left field. Bragg looks up. Gone! Home run, Bernard Gilkey. The Mets are on fire tonight.
Coming into this game, Pedro Martinez had allowed 7 home runs in 85 2/3 innings. The Mets have now hit 4 in the last 2 innings. Bernard Gilkey, the latest, no question about this one either, as it's high atop the screen, about halfway up. And again, a ball that just runs middle of the plate in, about knee high. And Pedro's getting a little tired of seeing this happen.
Now Castillo's the batter. Hits on top of it. Valentin gloves it. The flip to first. That'll do it for the Mets. But they pick up 3 runs in this inning. It's